Don't know what comps to reroll on set 12 PBE? Well, today we're going to be talking about 3 meta reroll comps that you can be playing to prep you for when the set drops live. Getting straight into it, we have 3 comps for today. Shapeshifter Cass Syndra is one of the strongest reroll compositions currently. Mage Vex Veigar is a really strong one as well. And then we have more of an assassin melee warrior Akali Nilah to finish off our 3 comps. At the very end, we'll do a recap of everything for today and a Q&A for anyone who is watching this live. Okay, before we get started, we're going to show some of the unit odds and pools for set 12. So this has changed a little bit, especially for the pool for tier 1, 2, and 3 cost units. For example, previously it was 17 for 3 cost units, now it's been bumped up to 18, and now there are 31 cost units and 25 2 cost units. So this means hitting your 3 stars for your 1 and 2 costs have become a lot easier, and for your 3-star 3 costs, even if you're contested by another reroller, there is still technically a chance for you to hit. It will just be very slim. In regards for what levels you're going to be rerolling, remember for 2-cost rerolls, you're going to be rerolling on level 6. This is the highest % chance of seeing a 2-cost unit per shop slot. And then if you're rerolling a 3-cost unit, then you are going to be rerolling on level 7. Once again, because level 7 is the highest % chance of seeing a 3-cost unit per shop slot. So as long as you remember that, then you will have no problem rerolling and maximizing your rolls. So getting straight into the first comp here, Shapeshifter Cass Syndra reroll, doing a little bit of a different layout. So we're going to start off, this is what the level 8 board is going to look like, so you can at least envision it, and I'll show you how to get towards this board. What you're going to do is you're going to be on level 6 for the majority of this composition because you're rerolling your 2 costs, and this is a magic damage stall composition, which means you get stronger and deal more damage the longer the fight goes. For your frontline, we're going to be playing a Shapeshifter frontline, which essentially is just a tank trait, which all Shapeshifters gain max HP, and then once their first ability casts, they will triple this effect. So this means that because your Shapeshifters already have so much HP, it's very good to be building resistances on them, so either armor or magic resist items, regen, or damage reduction. In this rare case, because of how well the scaling is and the recent buffs to Warmogs, I think Warmogs is also an okay item for Shapeshifters, especially on units such as Nasus, who scale with health. Encounters is going to be our 2 backline units, Cassiopeia and Syndra. So first off, the first part, not only does your team gain 10 AP, the AP for the encounters individually will increase whether you're at 2 encounter or at 4 encounter. In this case, we'll be only playing 2 encounter. So up to 40 stacks, you'll be getting 1 AP per stack, and you get a stack just from casting or every second auto attack. So this is why this is a slow comp. The longer the fight goes, the more our Cassiopeia and our Syndra will be attacking and gaining more AP and dealing more damage. That's a quick intro into the actual composition. We're going to dive more into what the main carries actually do and their item biz. So let's start off with Cassiopeia. The way you want to think about Cassiopeia is our previous set 11's Bard. The reason why is once you reach your ability, so let's say mana is 50 here, you now have an uptime where for the next 6 seconds your attacks will deal deal X. In this case, it's a percentage, or it's magic damage. Now the way Cassiopeia works, so first off, she's just a ranged AP carry with a range of 4. She is a single target carry where you do a lot of sustained damage, and this uptime for this 6 seconds when you are doing your special attacks, this is based off of your attack speed. So this is why you want to think of this like previous set Bard when he casts, and now for 6 seconds he will just start attacking and dealing like bonus. Here you want to be building 2 Rage Blades and a Gunblade exactly like that Bard build. So that's how you want to think about Cassiopeia. Syndra is a little bit different. So Syndra is a ranged AP carry as well. However, her ability will upgrade the more times that she casts and eventually become an area of effect spell. So originally, her ability is just a single target damage, and it also shreds the enemy unit that she is attacking. So that's why you don't really need to build Shiv or Spark in this composition, because your 2 units will be beside each other normally. Once you get to 15 Syndra casts, now enemies adjacent to the target you are attacking are also shredded and take damage as well. So this is the first part of becoming an AoE spell. And then once you reach 30 casts, then or 30 plus casts, then you will create an additional rift on a nearby enemy that deals damage as well. And this stacks for every 30 casts. So this is what I mean by Syndra. The more time she casts, she'll slowly start becoming more of an AoE spell damage user. In this case, we want to be getting her to cast as early as possible, or at least as early into the game to get your 15 and then 30 and then your intervals of 30. So building a Shoujo on her is a must with a mana of 60. And then you want some attack speed, so either Nashers, even like red buff is good. However, you will most likely not have that many bows because you will be wanting to make your Rage Blades on your Cassiopeia. So we got to keep our item economy in mind as well. And then the very last one, either Rabadon's Gunblade or a Jewel Gauntlet. So that is what our main carries do. So here's how we're going to play on level 6. Remember level 6 because we are rerolling 2 costs. On stage 3-2, a good interval is, or the perfect interval to level 6, and you're going to roll for this board for 2-star versions of units that are holding items. So what does this mean? It means that let's say we only have Cassiopeia items at this point. We have let's say just 2 Rage Blades, which is very good. I even think early game 2 Rage Blades is better than going for 1 Rage Blade and 1 Gunblade. Or vice versa. Let's say we have only Syndra items, we have a Shojin and a Nashers, right? Then let's say we even have 1 tank item on our Nico. We want to be itemizing our Nico with our tank items. If we have, we normally want to itemize her for tank items. If we randomly hit a Swain 2, then of course itemize the Swain instead. And you want to be going for 2-star versions of these units that are holding items on your initial level 6 level up on 3-2. After you have stabilized, so this is called stabilizing, then you want to stay level 6 and slow roll above 50 for your Cassiopeia 3 and your Syndra 3. Make sure you prioritize having a Shojin on your Syndra as early as possible into the game to start your cast stacking, and once you hit both of your 3 stars, you're going to slowly go to level 8 and eventually play 6 Shapeshifters. Regarding positioning, you want to make sure that your Cassiopeia and your Syndra are number 1, far away from the enemy carry, so then they are able to stack up as long as possible safely, and also that they are beside each other, so then the units that Syndra will attack eventually for AoE, she will shred them, so then Cassiopeia, also doing magic damage, will be able to deal more damage to them. And this is what our final board looks like. We have 6 Shapeshifter in with Briar as kind of our 3rd carry, Nasus as well. And it's very strong. 6 Shapeshifter. Once we get that Briar in, we also get Eldritch for a little bit more frontline, and that's all we need. Eventually, our backline will kill the entire enemy board. We just need the frontline to sustain it. So that's why Shapeshifter encounters are so strong right now. Plus, I saw Augments, Shapeshifter, Crest, or Crown. Then we could play 4 Witch on level 9. Prismatic Ticket or Invested in order to hit our 3 stars. Defensive Arts is the Incanter Augment that will reduce the enemy damage from our Incanters. And then any of these augments are great as well. Essentially just anything providing us combat stats for our frontline, keeping them tankier, or for our backline, having them get more attack speed or deal more damage. So that's been the first comp. Moving on to our next one, Mage, Veigar, Vex reroll. This is what the level 8 board is going to look like as soon as you hit Nora. If you don't hit Nora, then I will show you a different board to play instead. This is going to be a level 7 reroll composition because now we are going to be really rerolling 3 costs, our Veigar and our Vex. As opposed to a stall comp as the previous, we are now a burst composition where we don't actually get stronger the longer the fight goes. We just have a lot of single target damage bursts, so positioning of our Veigar will be very important. Mage has been a trait that has been around for a while. Essentially any mage casts twice and they have modified total ability power. So once you 3 mage, they'll have 75%, 5 mage they'll have 90%. And once you get above 7, or once you get to 7, then you'll actually be gaining extra 5% ability power. The second one that we will be playing around, at least mid-game, will be Honeymancer. Essentially, this is kind of like previous Laser Core, if you played that trait, like the more Mordekaiser one, like a previous sets. Essentially, Honeymancers will gain bees that deal damage to their target every couple of seconds, and they'll also deal damage based off your damage dealt and damage taken. The reason why I say it's like Laser Core is once a Honeymancer dies, that bee will leave that dead body and then follow a different Honeymancer for the rest of combat. So it's kind of like a stacking one, and we will have our 1 Honeymancer in the back with our 2 bees, at least mid-game. So let's dive deep into more of our main carries and what they do and how to itemize them. So Veigar, he is a AP ranged carry. His ability is a single target burst, and also his passive is he will gain 3 AP for every charm that you buy. So this means that with a mana pool of 40, we want to be building blue buff, and then Nashers to help keep casting, and then our last one will be ideally Rabadon's or a Jewel Gauntlet if you can't have that second rod. Remember that for units that have 40 mana or less, you want to be building blue buff, and then for units that have 50 mana or more, you want to be building Shojin. The next unit is going to be Vex. So Vex is going to be our tank. She's an AP tank which has a self shield, and this shield increases by 5% for each enemy targeting her. So this is why, as you've seen on the previous slide, you want to be frontlining her, solo frontlining her, which is why items such as Gargoyle is best on Vex. Other items, just essentially any tank items. Redemption, Warmogs, Declaw, Spark, Bramble, or even a second Gargoyle is fine on her as well. That is how you want to itemize your main carries. This is what your level 7 board is going to look like, which is why we're also playing Honeymaster here. It's just a okay mid-game trait, but we will take that out eventually once we hit Nora. The way to play this is you're going to level to 7 on stage 4-1, so right after Wolves, and then stabilize. The way we stabilize is we're going to fit in 5 Mage. We're going to make sure that we're going to roll until we have Vex 2 and Veigar 2, and then once we have stabilized there, we can slowly econ up back up to 50 gold and slow roll for that Veigar and Vex 3. Regarding item prioritization, make sure you prioritize the Veigar items first over the Vex, because Vex items are more flexible and Veigar is pretty cut in place. Make sure you buy a charm every round to keep increasing the Veigar's AP, and then on level 8 we're going to add Tark and replace Seraphine with Nora. This is what the final board is going to look like, where once we have Nora, then we could play our other 2 mages for 7 mage, and we drop the Honeymancers. Honeymancers, like a Blitzcrank and a Nunu, isn't going to do anything late game anyway. By this point, hopefully we have Vex 3, as our front line really relies on hitting that Vex. And we're going to put a Yuumi on that Vex for the heal, and also increased AP, which means larger shields. Let's install Augments. A Mage +1 is very valuable in this composition. Technically, we have 2 dead units just here for trait bots, so you're able to at least drop the Seraphine, at least the rocket heals. Drop the Seraphine, play a Diana, and then you're able to Mage cap her. Other augments such as Prismatic Ticket or Invested are all great for reroll compositions. Learning to spell, because we have modified AP for Mage, this is not an actually a large AP given trait. That will be Encounter, where essentially you gain a lot of AP from the trait, but Mage doesn't actually provide a lot of AP from the trait, which is why Learning to Spell is very good. And then Practice Partners, being able to generate mana from your Mage casts, your other mages, and Blossoming Lotus, being able to crit from your spells. Regarding positioning, you want to make sure that Veigar is targeting a key important enemy unit while remaining safe. So this can either be like a melee carry that you could burst down. So if for some reason someone is like frontline a Gwen, or even like a Fiora that is not too tanky, then you can make sure you position in front of them and kill them. But remember, you want to stay safe. Other items, Nora can hold healing reduction and shred. Same with Nami. Nami can also hold healing reduction and shred, but ideally you want to have a Shojin on both of these units. And then last but not least, one of my favorites, the Warrior Akali Nilah reroll. We're back to rerolling 2 costs, so this is going to be on level 6, and this is going to be a physical damage burst composition. This is what the level 6 board is going to look like, where we have Akali and Nilah as our main 2 carries. Now, their traits. So both of these units are warriors. So what do warriors have? Well, warriors, they both gain innate Omnivamp and damage amp. So let's say just at full health, we're playing like 2 warriors. They'll each gain 10 Omnivamp and 10 damage amp. However, once the warriors drop below 60% health, they'll then double their damage amp, and the damage amp will go up to 20%. The second one is going to be Multi-Striker. Pretty simple. The Multi-Striker's attacks have a chance to trigger 2 extra times. So we'll only be playing 3 Multi-Strikers, and our main carry that has this trait is Akali. So Akali will have a 30% chance to attack 2 extra times. Let's go into their abilities and what they do. So Akali and Nilah, let's start off with Akali. So what is she? She is essentially a melee assassin here. She has a burst damage as soon as she casts her ability, and then she has empowered attacks, which work very well if you're able to proc multicaster for these empowered attacks. She has a range of 1, of course, because she is a melee unit, and her best in slot is going to be Eon plus Hodge or IE. Lost Whisper is also fine on her. You definitely want an Eon on Akali because of that 1 range, and she will sometimes, she'll sometimes randomly grief her ultimates and go into a wrong spot, in a dangerous spot, and the Eon will really save her with that damage aggro drop. The second one is going to be Nilah. So although she is a melee unit, she is also semi-ranged, so now she has a range of 2. So this carry has a self shield, and her passive will grant her attack speed based off of when she gets a shield. The best way to build her is going to be any combination of Hand of Justice, Last Whisper, Runons, BT, or Titans. BT is not as necessary because you will already have the Omni-Bat from Warrior, and also she is a ranged unit, so she will be in less threat as compared to units that are melee, like 100% melee, and have a 1 range hex. This is what you're going to do in order to play this composition on level 6 on 3-2. This is how you're going to stabilize. Remember, for getting the 2 stars on your initial turn of stabilizing, you mostly want to just 2-star the units that have items on them. In this case, it will just be mostly your Akali or your Nilah. Tank items will go on either your Shen or Mordekaiser. Shen wants to hold more mana items, while Mordekaiser wants to hold more AP tank items such as Adaptive Helm or Crown Guard to burn those rods. Once you hit your Akali 2 and Nilah 2, and also find a Shen so you can start stacking Pyro stacks on stage 3, then you can make your way back up to 50 gold and start slow rolling for the Akali and Nilah. Regarding item prioritization, make sure that you prioritize Akali items first. Not necessarily the Edge of Night. I definitely go for the Hodge or the Infinity Edge first. Make sure she actually has some damage, but if you have 2 swords, even better. This way you can start killing units from the Akali and start stacking your pyro early. So then hopefully by stage 4 or 5, you'll have a lot of pyro stacks, a lot of attack speed for your Nilah to start carrying as well. Then bets and slot augments to go along with this composition. Prismatic Tick are invested for sure. Keepers is a very good augment for this composition. In this case, you'll now bunch up a little bit more, so then you get full Keepers value. But the reason why is this composition does not necessarily have a lot of frontline, as the case with melee compositions, because the melee users or the melee carries are technically part of the frontline. So creating kind of a pseudo frontline from the Keeper shield is very important. Also, I'm pretty sure it will start Nilah from the attack speed, as she gains attack speed whenever she is shielded. Caretaker's ally for Akali or Nilah is very important and helps a lot. Tiny but Deadly to decrease the downtime where they have to like walk up to units. And then Not Today. Both users are actually okay holders of, or Akali is a great holder of Edge of Night, Nilah is an okay holder. However, with the extra attack speed from the Augments, both will be able to hold it quite well. So that has been everything for today. Make sure you put your mana items on your Tahm Kench as well for a faster cast, and then cap off with a Xerath for 3 Arcana. Make sure that you Arcana using the Hecarim for team-wide DR and attack damage. That way, having the Xerath in, you will be able to find some Ascendant influenced or Ascendant tailored charms, and hopefully you get some of the good ones like Artifact plus a support item. And that has been everything for today. So I'll do a quick recap of today's class, and then I'll kind of do a Q&A for anyone who is watching this live. Today we'll talk about 3 easy reroll meta comps that you could be playing on set 12 PBE right now. We have a AP 2 cost ranged composition. We have a AP 3 cost burst composition, and then we finished off with our 2 cost melee assassin composition. That has been everything for today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great night, and I hope to see you all for our next class on Monday. Take care.